Welcome back to the All Sorts podcast, everyone, where we like to really get our hands dirty with some fascinating topics.
Yeah, you could say that.
And today, well, we are diving deep into a story that honestly sounds like it could be ripped from the pages of some kind of, like a tragic romance novel.
Oh, yeah.
It's the story of Veronika of Desenice.
I love this story.
She was a Croatian noblewoman, and her life, let me tell you, it was filled with intrigue, forbidden love,
Definitely.
and ultimately a really heartbreaking end.
Yeah, it's a real tearjerker.
Oh, yes, it is. So for this deep dive, you've given me a really fascinating stack of sources.
Oh, good.
Everything from, historical accounts to literary interpretations, even a Eurovision song.
Oh, wow.
I know, right?
I can't wait to get into that one.
I know. So let's dive in and see what kind of insights we can pull out of all this together.
Sounds great.
All right. So our story takes place in 15th century Croatia.
Oh.
Now, this was a time when power and social standing meant absolutely everything.
Oh.
Like it was the end-all be-all.
For sure.
Now, imagine this. Okay. Veliki Tabor Castle, perched on a hilltop,
Okay.
overlooking, vast forests and fields.
I'm picturing it.
This imposing fortress. Okay.
Mm.
This is where our story unfolds. It's a story about a love that defied the rigid societal norms of the time.
Yeah. This castle, it really sets the scene, doesn't it? It's like a character in the story itself, almost.
Oh, absolutely. And what's really striking to me is that Veronika's story still feels so relevant even today.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's a timeless story about the clash between what you want personally and what society tells you you're allowed to have.
Right. It's that age-old tension.
Exactly.
Between following your heart and following the rules.
Yeah, and in Veronika's case, it starts with her falling head over heels for Frederick II.
Uh-huh.
He was the Count of Celje, a man of power and influence.
Oh, yeah, he was a big deal.
Huge deal. And their love, well, it was a direct challenge to the very fabric of their society.
Wow. It really does sound like a real-life Romeo and Juliet situation, doesn't it?
It really does.
So how did their romance, how did it actually play out in this very rigid, 15th century nobility?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Did they actually manage to overcome these societal barriers?
Well, not quite.
Okay.
Their love story, it was met with fierce opposition right from the get-go.
I can imagine.
Especially from Frederick's father, Herman II.
Ah, so this is where the drama really starts.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about Herman II. What was he like?
Well, he was a pretty ambitious guy.
Okay.
He saw Veronika as a threat to his family's plans, their carefully crafted plans for even more power.
Ah, so it's that classic tale of love versus duty.
Exactly.
But it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
What's that?
Like, was Herman genuinely concerned about his family's legacy, or was he just, using that as an excuse to control his son?
Oh, that's a good question. It's probably a bit of both, to be honest.
Right. Like power and family, they're all tangled up together.
Yeah, they really are. And to make matters even more complicated, Frederick's first wife, Elizabeth of Frankopan, well, she died under mysterious circumstances.
Oh, so now we have a suspicious death thrown into the mix.
Yeah, it's getting pretty dramatic.
I bet the rumor mill was really churning at this point.
Oh, you can bet it was. People were whispering that Frederick might have even been involved in Elizabeth's death.
Oh, wow. So that would have naturally put a huge strain on his relationship with his father.
Oh, absolutely.
So we've got this, forbidden romance, a suspicious death, and a power-hungry father.
It's all the ingredients for a juicy historical drama.
Yeah. This is already shaping up to be a captivating story. What happened next? Did Frederick give in to his dad, or did he stand his ground for love?
Well, Frederick, being a man of conviction and clearly deeply in love, he chose to defy his father and all those societal expectations.
Okay.
He married Veronika.
Whoa, talk about a bold move.
Oh, yeah. It was a direct challenge to Herman's authority, a clear signal that Frederick was willing to risk it all for love.
He really did put it all on the line.
He did. It makes you wonder if he truly grasped the potential consequences of his actions.
Yeah. Or if love just completely blinded him to the risks.
Love can be a powerful force.
That it can. So how did Herman II react to this blatant act of defiance?
Well, he was furious. He couldn't openly prevent the marriage.
Yeah, what could he do?
Right. But he needed a plan to get rid of Veronika without directly implicating himself.
Oh, this sounds like it's about to take a dark turn.
Yeah, it does.
What does he do?
Well, think about it. What was the ultimate weapon back in the 15th century?
I don't know what.
Accusations of witchcraft?
Oh, that's right. That was a pretty effective way to discredit someone.
Especially a woman.
Right. Especially a woman. So he accused Veronika of witchcraft.
He did. It was a way to isolate her, discredit her without needing any real evidence.
That's really chilling.
Mm.
So what happened to Veronika? Was she found guilty?
Well, surprisingly, no. She was acquitted in the witch trial.
Wow. So she stood up to him and won.
Yeah, it was a huge blow to Herman's plans. It really shows her strength and resilience in the face of such a serious accusation.
Yeah, she must have been a remarkable woman.
She was. But this unexpected outcome, it must have infuriated Herman. He saw his carefully laid plans just crumble before his eyes.
I can only imagine the tension in that courtroom.
Must have been incredible.
So did Herman just accept defeat, or did he have another trick up his sleeve?
Well, Herman was not a man who took defeat lightly, that's for sure. He wasn't about to just let it go.
So what did he do?
He imprisoned her in Ojstrika Castle.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Even though she was cleared of the charges, he still locked her away.
Yeah, pretty much. And unfortunately, that's where the story takes its darkest turn.
Oh, man. This is so sad. So despite being acquitted, of those witchcraft charges, Veronika wasn't really free.
No, she wasn't.
What happened to her while she was imprisoned?
Herman, driven by his ambition, and just his need for control, he ordered her murder.
Oh, my God. That's horrible.
It is. The official records say she drowned in a bathtub.
In a bath?
Yeah. But most people believe that she was brutally murdered. Like it wasn't an accident.
Wow. It's just a really stark reminder that power, it can corrupt people. And love it can sometimes become a casualty in these power struggles.
Sadly, yeah. But there is like a small glimmer of hope in all of this tragedy.
Oh, really? Tell me about it.
Yeah, so Frederick, he eventually reclaimed Veronika's remains.
He did?
He did. It was like a final act of love and defiance against his father's cruelty.
That's incredible. What did he do with her remains?
He had them moved from Ojstrika Castle to the Jurkaloder Carthusian Monastery.
Okay, so from this, kind of cold and desolate prison to a place of peace.
Exactly.
That's really beautiful. It's like even in death, they found a way to be together.
Yeah, it's very romantic in a way.
It is. And it also makes me think about how Veronika's story, it's not just a love story.
Right.
It touches on themes of class struggle.
Yeah.
Social injustice.
The abuse of power.
Yeah, all of that.
That's a really complex story.
It is. You mentioned earlier that Herman II, he expelled Jewish people from his lands.
Yeah, that's right.
How does that fit into the bigger picture?
Well, it really highlights the complexities of Herman II as a historical figure.
Oh,
like, we can't just focus on, his opposition to his son's marriage. We have to acknowledge this other aspect of his rule as well.
Right. It shows a much darker side to him.
A side tainted by prejudice and discrimination.
Absolutely. It's important to acknowledge, these uncomfortable truths, even within a story like this, about love and tragedy.
And it's all part of the story.
Yeah. It reminds us that history isn't always pretty.
Not always.
And we need to examine all those facets, even the less savory ones, to really get a complete understanding.
I completely agree.
It's fascinating to me how Veronika's story is kind of transcended, just the boundaries of history. And it's found its way into all these different artistic expressions.
It's true. Her story has been told and retold in so many different ways.
So tell me about that. How have artists interpreted her tale?
Well, it's really interesting to see how Veronika's image has shifted over time.
How so?
Well, like in early portrayals, she was often depicted as this independent woman, actively fighting for her love.
Oh, wow. So she was initially seen as a strong woman who challenged the status quo.
Exactly.
That's really different from, like the damsel in distress trope.
Right.
That we often see.
It's refreshing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But you're saying that changed.
Yeah, as time went on, some portrayals shifted towards a more passive and objectified Veronika.
Oh, so like she became more of a victim of circumstance.
Yeah, kind of. Like a pawn in other people's games.
It's interesting how art reflects the, values and anxieties of the time it was created in.
For sure.
Do we see this shift in all artistic interpretations of Veronika's story, or are there exceptions?
Oh, there are definitely exceptions. Not all interpretations follow that trend.
Okay.
Some actually delve deeper into those themes of social injustice and gender inequality.
Interesting. So they use her story as a lens to explore these broader societal issues.
Exactly. They challenge us to think about how power dynamics shape our lives, and our relationships.
Right. And that brings up a really important point.
What's that?
Even today, people debate whether Veronika is a symbol of female empowerment or a victim of patriarchal structures.
It's a really interesting debate.
It is. It seems like her story continues to spark these important conversations about, gender roles and societal expectations.
It does, and that's what makes her story so enduring.
Right. It resonates across generations.
Exactly, because it speaks to these universal themes of love power.
And the struggle for individual freedom.
Yeah, against those societal constraints.
Absolutely. And speaking of contemporary relevance, did you know that even the Eurovision Song Contest took inspiration from Veronika's story?
No way, really?
Yeah. The 2024 Slovenian entry. It was called Veronika.
Wow.
It brought her story to this global audience, demonstrating the enduring power of her narrative to captivate and inspire.
That's amazing. It really shows that even centuries later, Veronika's story can still resonate with audiences.
It's a timeless tale.
It really is.
It's incredible how a story, from the 15th century can still hold such relevance for us today.
It's true.
It makes you wonder, if Veronika's story were told in a modern context, how would it be perceived?
That's a good question.
Would she be seen as a feminist icon?
Yeah, maybe.
A victim of circumstance?
Or maybe a bit of both.
Right.
Right. It's a thought-provoking question, isn't it?
It is. It challenges us to consider how societal norms and expectations have evolved, and how we view stories of love and power and defiance through this, this contemporary lens.
It's a good exercise.
It is Veronika's story. It mirrors other famous tragic love stories.
Yeah, like Romeo and Juliet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These stories, regardless of the time period, they highlight the universal appeal of love defying societal norms.
And the tragic consequences that can follow.
Yeah. It seems like that struggle against societal expectations, and that fight for individual freedom and matters of the heart, those are themes that just resonate deeply with people.
Across cultures and throughout history.
We've talked about Veronika's tragic fate and her enduring legacy, but I'm curious to know more about the aftermath. What happened to Frederick after Veronika's death?
Oh, that's a good question.
Did he ever find peace or happiness?
Well, despite the immense grief and loss that he experienced, he continued to rule.
Okay.
And he actually played a pretty significant role in regional politics.
Wow.
But he never remarried.
Oh, wow. So he truly loved her.
It seems that way.
It really speaks volumes about the depth of their connection.
Definitely.
That even after her death, this tragic death, he chose to honor her memory by remaining unmarried.
It's a beautiful sentiment.
It is. It adds another layer of tragedy to their already heart-wrenching story.
Yeah, it does. Frederick's loyalty to Veronika, even in death, it kind of paints him as this romantic figure, A man deeply devoted to the woman he loved, despite all the opposition and tragedy they faced together.
This story, it's rooted in the 15th century, but it carries these lessons that resonate even today.
Oh, definitely.
It makes you think about the choices we make.
The compromises we're willing to accept.
And the lengths we'll go to for love and freedom.
Absolutely. It urges us to examine our own values and beliefs.
To question societal norms.
And to consider that delicate balance between personal desires and external pressures.
Yeah.
It really makes you think.
It does. It's amazing to me how Veronika's story, it still sparks so much debate and intrigue.
I know. It's incredible.
Even after all these centuries.
It really is. It's like she left this ripple effect on history.
It makes me wonder if she would even be surprised.
By what?
By the enduring fascination with her life.
Yeah. Would she be shocked, or would she think, well, of course people are still talking about me. I was awesome.
Right, like I was ahead of my time.
Exactly.
I mean, her story has become this cultural touchstone.
Oh, for sure.
Inspiring countless works of art, literature, music.
Definitely. And speaking of art, you mentioned earlier how, those portrayals of Veronika, they've kind of shifted over time. I'm curious, are there any specific examples that really stand out to you as particularly noteworthy?
Oh, there are a few. Yeah. One that comes to mind is this Croatian drama called Veronika of Desenice.
Okay.
It was written in the 19th century.
Okay.
And it portrays Veronika as this, this strong and defiant woman, actively fighting for her love, defying those social norms.
It sounds powerful.
Oh, it is. It's a really powerful interpretation.
What kind of themes does it explore?
It resonates with themes of national identity and resistance against oppression.
Wow. So in this play, she's not just, a tragic figure, but almost a symbol of Croatian resilience.
Exactly. It's a great example of how, Veronika's story, it can be used to explore these broader social and political themes.
It really shows the power of those historical narratives.
But transcend their original context.
Yeah, and to speak to these contemporary concerns.
We've talked about, the romantic aspect of Veronica's story. But it feels like there's just so much more to uncover.
Oh, definitely.
What other layers of her story do you think are worth exploring?
Well, for one, we could really delve deep into the political landscape of 15th century Europe.
Okay.
The Counts of Celje, they were a powerful family.
Oh, yeah.
With ambitions that extended, way beyond their little region.
So understanding their place within that broader European power structure.
Exactly. That could shed some light on, their motivations and the things that they did.
That would be a fascinating deep dive in itself.
Oh, really?
To really see how those larger political forces might have influenced Veronica's fate.
Yeah, it's all connected.
We could also explore the legal and social complexities of those witchcraft accusations.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, they were often used as this tool
to control and silence individuals.
Especially women.
Right, especially women who dared to challenge, the established order.
It's just a chilling reminder of how easily fear and superstition can be manipulated for personal gain.
It's scary how effective that can be.
It makes me think about how these same tactics, they're still used even today.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Maybe in different forms.
Different packaging, but the same idea.
Right.
Right.
Examining the historical context of those witchcraft accusations.
Mm-hmm.
It can help us understand how similar tactics are employed in contemporary society.
Absolutely. Often targeting marginalized groups.
Yes. And individuals who dare to speak up.
Challenge the status quo.
Veronica's story, it really is like a wellspring of insights.
Oh, yeah.
Into human nature, power dynamics, and that timeless struggle for individual freedom.
It's a story that keeps on giving.
And it's a story that continues to resonate with audiences centuries later.
Sparking debate, inspiring artistic interpretations.
So what does all of this mean for you, dear listener? Why should this story, from 15th century Croatia matter to you today?
That's the big question, isn't it? I think Veronika's story, it reminds us that fight for love, justice, freedom, it's timeless. It's a story that transcends the boundaries of time and place.
It speaks to something fundamental about the human experience.
Exactly. And it reminds us that we're not just passive observers of history.
Right.
We're active participants in shaping the world around us.
And it encourages us to find our own voices.
To challenge injustice.
To fight for the things that we believe in.
Even when it feels like you're facing impossible odds.
Veronica's story, it's a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit.
It is.
A reminder that even in those darkest of times, love, courage, and the pursuit of justice, they can prevail.
Powerful message.
And as we wrap up this deep dive into her life and legacy, we encourage you to, explore this topic further.
Oh, yeah, there's so much more to learn.
If you're ever in Croatia, definitely visit Veliki Tabor Castle.
Oh, that would be amazing.
It's a museum now, and it beautifully preserves, the history and legends of the region.
It's like stepping back in time.
And for those of you who are interested in, exploring those literary interpretations of Veronica's story, we highly recommend seeking out the winners of the Veronika Poetry Award.
Oh, cool. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it's a celebration of creativity and a testament to her enduring influence on the arts.
That's awesome.
But before we let you go, we want to leave you with a final thought. Okay.
Hit me with it.
If Veronica's story were told today, how would it be different? Would she be a hero, a victim, or something else entirely?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
And how would her defiance be perceived in our modern world?
That's a really good question.
These are questions worth pondering.
They really are.
And we believe that by engaging with these questions, by wrestling with the complexities of history and the human experience,
we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves.
And the world that we inhabit.
Well said.
And that's what the All Sorts podcast is all about.
Inspiring curiosity.
Encouraging deeper thinking.
And reminding you that the pursuit of knowledge,
it's an adventure worth embarking on.
I love that.
And as we always say here at the All Sorts podcast, keep those flags of curiosity flying high.
Woo!
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes, please do.
We have a whole library of deep dives waiting for you.
Oh, yeah, we've got some good stuff.
Exploring all these fascinating topics that will, spark your imagination and just ignite your thirst for knowledge.
Knowledge is power.
And to stay connected with the All Sorts podcast family. Be sure to follow us on X, Instagram, and Threads.
Come hang out with us.
We love hearing from our listeners, so don't hesitate to reach out and share your thoughts. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those all sorts vibes alive.
Stay curious, my friends.